What's happening, Whites faithful? Get ready, because what I'm about to tell you will send shockwaves through every corner of Elland Road and beyond. The transfer window is absolutely exploding right now, and our beloved Leeds United are right in the thick of it all. Listen up, because we've got three massive stories that are going to make your head spin faster than a Rafinha step over. We're talking about a striker who had the audacity to demand Premier League wages that would make even Messi, I'll blush, a world-class fullback slipping through our fingers straight into the hands of none other than the special one, and a midfielder with a release clause so astronomical it could fund a small country's GDP. This isn't just transfer gossip, Leeds family. This is about the very soul and ambition of our club. The 49ers are making statements left, right, and center, and some of these decisions will have you jumping out of your seats, while others might leave you questioning everything. Smash that like button right now if you're ready for this roller coaster, and don't forget to subscribe, because this is the kind of inside information that separates the real Leeds fans from the glory hunters. But before we dive into this madness, let me ask you this. What happens when a free agent thinks they can walk all over Leeds United with outrageous wage demands? Well, buckle up, because Daniel Farke and the 49ers just showed the entire football world that we all love Leeds, but we're nobody's fools. Here's where it gets absolutely mental, Whites Army. The first bombshell that's been doing my head in involves none other than Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Yes, you heard that right. The former Everton striker who thought he could waltz into Elland Road and basically rob us blind. Picture this. Leeds United, fresh off spending $80 million this summer with 7 new signings already in the bag, are still hunting for that perfect striker to complement our new boy Lucas and Mecha. The 49ers, being the shrewd operators they are, spot Calvert-Lewin as a free agent after his Everton contract expired. Makes sense, right? Premier League experience, England international, 57 top-flight goals to his name. What could go wrong? Well, everything went wrong the moment this man opened his mouth. Dominic Calvert-Lewin had the absolute nerve, the sheer audacity to demand $150,000 per week to join our beloved Leeds United. Are you having a laugh, Dom? 150 grand a week for a player who managed a whopping 3 goals in 26 Premier League games last season. When TalkSport's Alex Crook broke this news, even Alan Brazil was left speechless, responding with pure bafflement. No, 150k a week. That's the kind of reaction that tells you everything. When seasoned football journalists are shocked by wage demands, you know someone's taking liberties. Daniel Farke took one look at those wage demands and basically told him where he could stick his weekly salary. And you know what? Good on Farke. This is exactly the kind of backbone we need from our management. We're not some desperate club throwing money around like confetti. We're Leeds United, and we do business the right way. The numbers don't lie, and they certainly don't justify that ridiculous wage bill. Just 1.12 shots on target per 90 minutes, winning only 50.6% of his aerial duels, and creating a measly 7 chances all season. For 150k a week, you get better value buying lottery tickets. Compare that to what our current squad earns, and you'll see why Carragher backed Farke's decision completely. But here's what this rejection really tells us about our club's direction under the 49ers and Farke. We're building something sustainable, something real, something that won't crumble under the weight of overpriced egos. This decision proves we've learned from past mistakes and won't be held hostage by greedy agents. However, don't think the transfer chaos ends there, because we're just getting started. What happens when Jose Mourinho swoops in and snatches a target right from under our noses? Just when you thought the transfer drama couldn't get any crazier, Leeds faithful, along comes the special one himself to remind us why he's called exactly that. We're talking about Nelson Semedo, the Portuguese fullback wizard who was supposedly on our radar, and guess what? Jose Mourinho has just pulled off the heist of the century. Here's the situation that's got me absolutely fuming. Our boy Isaac Schmidt is heading out on loan to Werder Bremen, because let's be honest, he never quite convinced Farke after that $4.6 million move from St. Gallen. Just 70 minutes of league football all season. That tells you everything you need to know. With Schmidt gone and needing World Cup game time for Switzerland, we desperately need another fullback option, especially with Gabriel Gudmundsson already signed to replace Junior Firpo. Nelson Semedo was right there for the taking, a free agent after leaving Wolves, described as incredible by Gary O'Neill, with all that Premier League experience and Portuguese flair. Ben Jacobs even said Leeds were one to watch in the pursuit of this defensive gem. The man's got pace, defensive solidity, and that attacking threat down a flank that could have been perfect for Falk's system. But here's where it gets absolutely heartbreaking for us Leeds fans. Fabrizio Romano has just confirmed that Nelson Semedo is Istanbul bound. Jose Mourinho and Fenerbahce have swooped in with their "here we go" and snatched him right from under our noses. The Portuguese connection strikes again, and we are left wondering what could have been. This isn't just about losing one player. This is about Jose Mourinho showing the football world that he can still pull strings and attract top talent, even in the Turkish league. His reputation, his charisma, his track record, it all still carries massive weight in the transfer market, and players still dream of working under the master tactician. Meanwhile, we're scrambling for alternatives like James Justin from relegated Leicester or Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who's been floating around the market. Don't get me wrong, both are decent options, but when you've been dreaming of Nelson Semedo bombing down the right flank, everything else feels like settling for second best. The timing couldn't be worse either. With Schmidt needing game time for his World Cup hopes and our defensive options looking thin, missing out on Semedo feels like a proper gut punch. But you know what? Maybe this rejection is exactly what Leeds United needed to wake up and realize that in this transfer market, you snooze, you lose. But if you think losing out on Semedo is the end of our transfer saga, think again. Because what I'm about to tell you next involves a release clause so massive, it makes the GDP of some countries look like pocket change. Right then, White's Army, prepare yourselves for the most mind-blowing transfer story of this entire window. We're talking about a midfielder so good that Jamie Carragher can't stop raving about him, so valuable that Benfica slapped a $107 million release clause on his head, and so perfect for Leeds United that it almost seems too good to be true. Meet Florentino Luis, the 25-year-old Portuguese midfield maestro who's got Liverpool, Arsenal, and now our Leeds United all weak at the knees. This isn't some random punt either. Our old friend Victor Orta was already sniffing around this lad back in 2020, which tells you everything about his quality and potential. When Orta spots talent, history shows he's usually spot on. The stats are absolutely bonkers: 87.8% pass accuracy, 75.3% long ball accuracy, winning over 6 duels per game and making 2, 14 tackles per 90 minutes, plus 51 interceptions last season. These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. These are the building blocks of a midfield general who could transform our entire team and give us that Champions League level foundation we desperately need. But here's where Jamie Carragher comes in with praise that'll give you goosebumps. He reads the game so well for someone of his age. His positioning, tackling, and ball retention are all top notch. He's definitely one for the future. When a Liverpool legend is singing the praises of a potential Leeds signing, you know we're onto something absolutely special. Now let's address the elephant in the room, that $107 million release clause. Before you start panicking about FFP and financial meltdown, remember that Benfica are apparently willing to negotiate well below that figure. This is about Florentino Luis potentially becoming available at a fraction of his true market value, especially with the Eagles considering his departure this window. The timing couldn't be more perfect either. With Ilya Gruev facing an uncertain future at Elland Road and questions about his game time mounting, Florentino Luis could be the perfect replacement. Imagine pairing him with Anton Stash in midfield. That's